the end of the day, and I can say this, and this is not an excuse, my son never indulged in drugs around me. You got to realize I'm his dad, bro. And I was a disciplinarian. I was strict, structured. So certain things I didn't see. I never saw Quan pop a pill in front of me.
Rich Homie Quan has been gone for almost 2 years now, and the story around his death still feels off, like pieces never clicked together. The overdose angle never sat right with a lot of people, and that uneasy feeling just won't fade, no matter how much time passes. Online chatter never slowed down, not even for a second. Now the spotlight is back on the very last people who saw Quan alive, and folks are saying there's no way everything was told to police. Quiet moves, weird timing, and behavior that looks suspicious in plain sight have everyone talking. But before getting deep into that, it's important to rewind to the morning when everything suddenly collapsed. September 5th, 2024, the day Quan passed away at just 34 years old. According to the official timeline, his brother Andre was the first to find him around 3 a.m. Andre said he walked into the kitchen and saw Quan lying on the floor, food still in his mouth, no response, not breathing. Anyone who's ever faced something like that would panic, call for help, or at least check for signs of life. But that's not how this went down. Andre told authorities he picked Quan up and moved him to the couch, and that was it. No emergency call, no rush, no urgency at all. He just lifted him and laid him down like the outcome was already known, which doesn't sit right with people. Hours later, around 6:45 a.m., Quan's baby mama Amber woke up, got the kids ready, took them to school, came back home, and saw Quan still on the couch, cold, foaming at the mouth, and not breathing. That's when she finally called 911. When that call went public, the internet went crazy. People weren't just listening, they were breaking down every second, every breath, every word. Many said it sounded like someone going through the motions instead of facing a real-time emergency, and that raised serious eyebrows. Andre once again stayed quiet, even though he was the first one there and saw everything before anyone else. And even after all that, he still never called for help, not even to say he checked if his brother was alive, which is the part people can't stop questioning.
Sleep on the couch since this morning. Well, he never came to bed last night. Sleep on the couch. I left him on the couch before I took my son to school this morning, put a blanket over him, and now I just checked on him again because he never got up. I don't feel a heartbeat. I don't see him breathing.
That's when people really started asking the uncomfortable questions, the kind nobody wanted to say out loud at first. Did they know more than they admitted? Was this something that could have been stopped, or even worse, allowed to happen? One user online said, "That's wild, because if my man hasn't been in the bed all night, I'm checking on him first thing." And that comment blew up fast. Another person didn't hold back at all. They wrote, "She's wrong for this. I can't believe how calm she sounds talking to the operator like it's nothing." Once that energy hit the timeline, everything spiraled out of control. People weren't just questioning, they were accusing, breaking down every word, every pause, every reaction, like it meant something deeper. Then the rumors took a sharp turn. Folks started saying Andre and Amber weren't just living under the same roof. People online claimed they were getting way too close behind Quan's back, moving too familiar, way too comfortable for the situation. That talk spread fast and had everyone side-eyeing the whole setup. After Quan passed, Andre's behavior only made things louder. He was seen wearing Quan's clothes, posting laughing emojis, and moving like he stepped into a whole new lifestyle overnight. People even claimed he was pushing obituaries for money and reaching out to major artists trying to lock in collaborations, which didn't sit right with the public at all. Just days after his brother passed, people in the hood weren't calling that grief, they were calling it opportunity. Then an industry voice stepped in and kept it real. Hurricane Chris stayed neutral at first, but eventually spoke up and said the situation felt off. He didn't claim receipts, didn't say he was there, but he said it straight. Something about that morning didn't sit right, he said, and then added, "But they're saying it's over an overdose. That's some fake pills, bro."
But they're saying it's over an overdose. That's some fake ass pills, bro. 9 times out of 10, it's probably them fake ass pills. Like, I don't knock nobody who do what they do, but it's too fucking dangerous to get anything off the streets.
When someone from the industry says something like that out loud, it flips a switch for the public. It's like giving people permission to dig deeper and stop accepting the surface level story. That's when the talk about laced pills came right back around, louder than before. At first, the explanation was the same old tragic script people have heard way too many times. A standard overdose story: fentanyl, codeine, promethazine, THC, all bundled together like a one-size-fits-all answer. But people close to Quan weren't buying that version at all, and the biggest red flag came from his own father. Months later, Quan's dad finally spoke up, still shaken, still searching for real answers, and still confused about how everything went down that morning. He didn't dance around it or sugarcoat anything. Quan's father said it straight up. That story didn't match the son he knew. He made one thing crystal clear: Quan was not a pillhead. Yeah, Quan smoked and drank like a lot of people do, nothing out of the ordinary there. But that deadly mix they listed didn't line up with how he lived or how he moved day to day, and that's why his father couldn't let it go.
Today, and I can say this, and this is not an excuse, my son never indulged in drugs around me. You got to realize I'm his dad, bro. And I was a disciplinarian. I was strict, structured. So certain things I didn't see. I never saw Quan pop a pill in front of me. I saw him smoke weed. I saw him drink liquor. But certain things I never saw him do. But in my mind, I knew when he was higher than normal. And I would address it with him. I used to tell him, like, hey, man, whatever you going through in life, your ass ain't in a pill bottle or liquor bottle, man. I used to tell him that.
And this wasn't just a grieving father lost in denial. This was a man who spoke to his son every single day. No gaps, no silence, no distance at all. They weren't estranged. They weren't on bad terms. Nothing like that. Their relationship was tight, more like best friends than just father and son. Quan's dad even said he never had that kind of bond with his own father, which made what he shared with Quan hit even deeper. That connection meant everything to him. And that's why the official story never sat right. When you talk to your child daily and know their habits, their mindset, and how they move, you can tell when something doesn't add up. And for him, too many things just didn't line up.
This chair I'm sitting there alone, I don't wish this on nobody, man. Like, I honestly, I envision my son getting older and pulling up, kicking it with me on some grown man shit, bro. You feel me? Yeah. Like, I wanted to have them time, man, while I was old and we just kicked it and we talked about what we did.
So when Quan's dad heard what supposedly took his son out, it didn't sit right in his spirit at all. Something felt off deep down, like the story was missing key pieces. Then the toxicology report dropped, and people noticed how fast it came back. No long delays, no back and forth, just wrapped up quick and clean, which raised serious eyebrows. That alone had people questioning things. Those reports usually take time, especially when it involves a public figure with money, status, and connections. Stack that speed on top of everything else already looking strange, and now the situation feels even heavier. You've got the calm 911 call, Andre's strange behavior, the alleged closeness between Andre and Amber, and then there's another name that keeps popping up, a woman named Kia Brown. She wasn't family, not a public figure, not someone people recognized, but reports say she was in the house around the time everything went down. When authorities questioned her, people said her energy felt shaky. Some claimed she tried to leave after allegedly dropping something off. Others said she gave vague answers about who else was there and what she actually saw. She never became the main focus publicly, but in the streets, her name never left the conversation. Too many people in that house, too many unclear stories, and way too much time passed before anyone called for help. That's when people started widening the lens beyond Quan's house, because Quan wasn't just anybody. He wasn't broke, he wasn't desperate, he had real value. And in this industry, value can attract problems. That's when some folks started pointing fingers elsewhere. Names like Young Thug even got whispered, with people saying the timing felt strange, since Quan was allegedly getting his life back on track. There was talk that Quan might testify, might distance himself from certain circles, might finally speak up, but that angle didn't hold up under pressure. People close to Young Thug pushed back hard on that idea. They said the respect between them was real, and when the news broke, Thug reportedly broke down with real pain and not a performance. When people looked closer, nothing about Quan's passing benefited him in any way, and slowly that theory faded out, but one idea refused to disappear. Quan may have been quietly stepping away from certain people, not calling anyone out, not starting drama, just backing off silently, and in this game, that can be dangerous. Lil Woody hinted at this mindset in separate conversations, speaking on how people sometimes get taken out when they stop playing their role, when they decide they don't want to be controlled anymore. He didn't drop names, but the message was loud and people heard it clearly.
I'm just friends with one of the people that stay in the house.
Name?
Quick.
Quick. So you Quick's friend?
Correct.
Okay. And you don't remember what time you arrived?
No. I have no idea what has transpired before or after. I was just in the room.
The street started connecting dots on their own, and that's when another heavy name resurfaced, Birdman. The moment his name came back into the mix, the industry energy shifted and things felt tense all over again. Birdman was the one who originally connected Quan and Thug, something Quan himself had hinted at before. That detail didn't get much attention at the time, but now people are looking at it differently. When a longtime power player's name pops back up like that, folks start wondering what connections really meant and what doors they may have opened.
So what's your thoughts on Rich Homie Quan passing?
Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's sad. Rich Homie had a lot of potential. You feel me? Like, he just made the wrong choice in the past. What could have that hurt his career. And he didn't have to make that choice. But sometimes people gotta learn how to stand up for themselves. Don't be intimidated by no group of people. Cause them group of people, man, they ain't know nothing for real.
Word on the street is when certain bonds started getting too strong and too independent, the energy shifted fast. Fans have been saying for years that some industry figures don't like artists becoming untouchable without oversight. Once an artist grows past the leash, things can get shaky real quick. Now let's be clear, because this part matters. Nobody is saying Birdman pulled a trigger. Nobody is saying he handed anyone anything. But the industry doesn't always move through direct action like people expect. Sometimes it moves through access, influence, pressure, and silence. And that's how situations quietly change. When people look at Quan's situation through that lens, the idea of an inside setup doesn't sound as far-fetched as it once did. Not proven, not confirmed, but the way the pieces line up has folks asking real questions instead of brushing things off. Right in the middle of all this noise and speculation, one voice chose peace instead of chaos. DC Young Fly stepped up different. DC had known Quan and his family since 2003, real history, way before industry lights, fame, and cameras. This wasn't clout chasing or internet talk, this was family showing up at the funeral. DC didn't push rumors or feed theories, he spoke life, respect, and love, and in a moment filled with tension, that stood out loud and clear.
Mama, I call you Mama. We been introduced since 2003. Big bro, so, you know, it's real family. Corey, what going on?
He told the family they still had to keep living, keep pushing forward, even when the answers didn't add up, even when the autopsy didn't sit right, even when too many questions were still hanging heavy in the air with no clear explanations. He reminded them that none of us are promised tomorrow, that life is fragile, and we're all just passing through this thing one day at a time. No guarantees, no rewinds, no extra chances promised. And at the end of the day, what really matters is what we do with the time we're given, how we move, how we love, and what we leave behind while we're still here.
Times, because all the morals and the doctrines, this is the only time that we really apply it. When we hurt Job, everybody go read the book of Job. Just read the book of Job. He took everything from Job. He kept snatching everything from Job. And Job, like every Christian that, everybody like, I put so much good into the world. Why so much bad coming to me? He like, you know what? I ain't really been bad to nobody. I just want to talk to him. I want to ask him why. Why he doing this to me? God looked at him and said, who you talking to? Why not you? This is the time for you to praise my name. This is the time for you to tell the other people through the midst of pain, I'm the one that's giving you the strength, fool.
That moment hit hard. It felt human, grounding, and real. And honestly, it made everything else feel even darker. While DC was focused on healing a broken family, others were scrambling to explain behavior that just didn't make sense. And that's when people realized how many layers this story really has. Because when you line it all up, it's heavy. A brother who found him first and never called for help, a baby mama whose calm reaction raised serious alarms, a woman in the house whose presence still hasn't been clearly explained, a father who doesn't believe the official cause of death, industry voices hinting something foul, power players quietly circling, and a toxicology report that moved way too fast. That's not just a tragedy, that's a full-on puzzle, and the internet isn't done trying to solve it. As people kept putting pieces together, one person online said what many were scared to say, questioning how a blanket was placed over him without noticing what was really happening. Another pointed out how unusual it was for Quan to be found on the floor with food still in his mouth, and that question keeps echoing louder and louder. If things looked that bad, why wasn't an ambulance called right away? People kept asking. Online, folks couldn't get past one thing. Amber sounded way too calm on that call. One person wrote, "If that was me, I'd be hysterical," and that reaction kept popping up again and again. Another comment hit even deeper. Someone said, "It don't matter if he overdosed or somebody gave him something bad. Either way, he's gone, and somebody needs to be held accountable." That's when it became clear this wasn't just gossip or street talk anymore. This was about truth, because until someone fully explains what really happened inside that house that morning, Rich Homie Quan's name isn't going anywhere. It'll keep circling, keep popping back up, and keep raising the same unanswered questions. So now the real question stands louder than ever. Was Rich Homie Quan truly lost to an overdose, or did someone inside that house already know what was coming? And if Quan was quietly trying to step away from certain circles, who really stood to gain the most from his absence? That's where the story ends for now, but the conversation doesn't stop here. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Say what you think happened. Say what doesn't add up to you. Let's keep the convo real and respectful. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. It helps the channel grow and keeps these stories alive.